And we're back. A little bit of turn it off, turn it back on again. And I think that's it. That's all. All right. That's all we got to do. So this is part 2 of today's live art stream. A little bit of technical issues that just seem to work themselves out. Yeah, and so I guess a little bit of reintroduction. My name's Levi Smith. This is my live art stream where I just draw a thing. It's not really a tutorial channel. I'm not really teaching anything, but I'm just going to kind of draw and talk. I had already just started into this with the previous attempt, but it didn't capture from my tablet. So here I am. I'm just going to get into this and continue on. So that's what we're going to do today. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the camera, and yeah, so we were here with this little kind of Funko Pop Chibi style Charlie Brown kid body. I draw these up pretty quick. I mean, this is just a standard kind of proportional thing. One thing I'm going to do real fast here is I want to totally cheat. I want to line this head up just right over his body. That is the beautiful power of digital drawing. Alright, so I've got this, and so what I'll do is I'm going to drop this down as a light sketch. Yeah, you can still just barely see that. I'm going to keep looking up here at this this monitor so that I can confirm that I'm still getting capture feed here. Let me get a drink of coffee. Yum yum. Okay. So this little guy here, what do we do with this guy? It does not look like, and then, so these kinds of body blanks can really end up as anything here. A little bit higher, because I want to block out some eyes. And yes, let's see. To look nervous or nothing. Yeah, so I'm just going to block out some shapes. So, man, what's been going on since last time I was doing a show here? Strange New Worlds, a new Star Trek season, that wrapped up. The last episode was pretty awesome. You know, there's some quibbles, but I think that they're just quibbles. I really enjoyed the episode. Overall, I think that it's just been, man, I mean, it really might just be the best first season of any Star Trek show that they've ever done. And man, just good stuff all around. Every episode was pretty fun. You know, not 100% perfect, nothing ever is. Definitely some things to quibble about. You know, it's one of the things that that's really interesting with more advanced and mature franchises. Maybe I've gone over this before, but it's something that I think is really significant to me with a lot of like how pop culture is consumed, interpreted, valued in our American culture here, where you know, when people say like, oh, you know, this new iteration of blah de blah ruined my childhood, kind of crap, you know, that's really bizarre to me, you know, because nothing new that they do now could go back and alter how you experienced something, you know, from your childhood. And I guess if it's something, I don't know, like my main, I guess, franchise property growing up really was Marvel Comics. Spider-Man, X-Men. Um, Not so much the Avengers. I really wasn't into Captain America, Fantastic Four, Iron Man, any of that stuff when I was reading comics. It was more about, definitely more about like Spider-Man and stuff, and definitely the X-Men. I got into stuff like New Warriors, Guardians of the Galaxy, and a whole bunch of stuff there. But man, comics changed so much. The storylines changed, the retconning, the canon issues, how the storylines moved, what mattered, what didn't matter, what was recognized or considered. I mean, it was just so messy and so. I mean, there was a canon, there was a continuity, but man, even that was just so like loose. And so those kind of quibbles. I mean, I don't know. I mean, in a larger narrative, a lot of that stuff is important, and I do think that these franchises do try to line things up, but also try to be creative. So it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me when they gotta change things or reinterpret something, to continue a narrative or to add in, fill in more story. The thing that the thing that I could do less without is going backwards, man. You know, oh, we've got to tell the story before this story. Oh, and then we got to go tell the story before that story. And Star Trek really has this weird issue with this whole thing where, with Enterprise, we were going to tell the story before, 100 years before Kirk and Spock, and then Discovery is like, uh, 10, 15 years before Kirk and Spock, and then now Strange New Worlds is like 5 years before Kirk and Spock. Other than Picard, which is really more of like a character-driven kind of narrative, versus like a Starfleet ship-driven narrative, they haven't really done a lot. I mean, I guess they have Lower Decks is moved forward from the point of Deep Space Nine and Voyager, but that's really what I want to see. Is I want to see some forward movement. I want to see them go forward with these stories and stuff. They do that with like Mandalorian is cool as far as being after Return of the Jedi and stuff. And Star Wars might be a little tricky as far as moving forward, especially with what they've done with the sequel trilogy. The latest ones with Rey and Finn and Kylo Ren and stuff. So like I don't know, I'm down. Like when Taika Waititi says that he wants to do something with Star Wars that doesn't involve any of the previously established stories, narratives, major plots, the Empire, Emperor Palpatine, any of that kind of stuff. I'm excited. I'm excited that he doesn't want to get too deep into that stuff. Because I, for one, I don't know, man. I could definitely use a lot less Skywalker saga in the Star Wars, and definitely a lot less Tatooine. The last thing I want to see in another Star Wars story is a goddamn desert planet. But, yeah, I don't know. So it's and maybe it's just how people consume entertainment, or how people rely on these kinds of pop culture narratives as like cultural anchor points and stuff. People identify really heavily with Star Trek, with Star Wars, with Harry Potter, with Marvel, with Doctor Who, with Stargate, with Supernatural. I remember the crowd that got really hardcore into the Highlander TV series and stuff, and that looked like that was going to become one of these larger, pop culture type franchises and stuff. That we really do. We do a lot of shaping of our culture around this stuff. We do try to incorporate some of the better aspects, the more aspirational aspects of these into our reality, and I mean, and just like Greek myths, just like other like parable type stories and stuff. There's a really important function in our society, in our culture, our civilization that we do this. I mean, it's a natural sort of thing. But at the same time, the anger and the rage that comes from modifying, adapting, retelling, changing, flat out bastardizing these stories. I mean, they're just stories. These are not there's no attempt for these things to construct a narrative worldview of our life. And I don't think there's perhaps there is definitely some effect of that, but I don't know how much of there is a responsibility of that beyond trying to tell good stories. And good stories, have good messages. Good stories have usefulness in our society. But rather than trying to have that be like the mental foci of trying to be informative or representative or bringing light, shedding light onto different things through narrative and plot and stuff. All of that's all fine and good, but it really has to serve a story. If it doesn't, then then to a lot of the audience, it's going to fail. By and large. Man, so the new Thor movie, Thor: Love and Thunder, is out. I have not seen it. Probably not going to see it for a few more weeks. And it's gotten mixed reviews and stuff, and I'm sure I'm going to like it. I like all that stuff. But man, yeah, it's gotten some interesting reviews. Oh my goodness, I did not even realize who I was drawing until. Okay, so who am I drawing? So this is looking like a character that's been on my back burners for a long time. And it's a co-owned character. A friend of mine, David Yant. So this is Kid Spaceman. And what I'm going to do here... turn that off. I'm gonna lower this because Kid Spaceman does not wear just normal jeans and t-shirts. Kid Spaceman wears a space uniform. So let's do this. Let's give him the center line through here. I think that crotch was way too low anyway. Wearing some baggy pants there, buddy. Short sleeve. I'm not gonna get too crazy with our poses here. Let's see, line the gaps. Through here, and yeah, and maybe on down the road, maybe I'll get Kenny in, to talk about some of this stuff. It's kind of easy and I don't know, kind of useless in a way to just talk to myself about stuff like this. I mean, I'm just going to kind of voice some personal thoughts, I think, about, especially about pop culture, about media and art. And that's one thing that I absolutely do not mind talking about on this channel, as far as any kind of social, political commentary. Media is a thing that yeah, I mean, I went to school for a pretty good understanding of a lot of the goals of media. I mean, one of the first rules is keep them watching. And so you just learn from how people rubberneck on the freeways for car accidents and stuff, and slow down and pay attention and watch. And people don't do that with with things that aren't deemed as tragic or threatening. And so that's the same reason why, all over the news is scary, tragic, threatening stuff, because, well, we watch that. That's a part of our threat assessment. We need to, as a survival instinct, we need to keep an eye out for any perceived threats in our area. That's a lot of what the news is there for, to do, is to tell you about, is the weather going to threaten you? Is there dangerous things out in your immediate area you need to be concerned with? And how, what's the appropriate actions to take? And so that's what a lot of that function is for. They don't put a lot of puppies and kittens on the news because, well, people watch that stuff all the time, but you don't go to the news to see puppy and kittens. You go to the news to catch the weather, find out if they caught a bad guy, figure out, get a little info on the whatever event people are talking about. Oh, did you hear about this tragedy or that tragedy? And then so it creates this confirmation bias. Oh man, all I see on TV is all this terrible stuff all the time going on. I still think that that there's way more good going on than bad out here in the world. I still think that there's, that this is still a better time now than it's ever been to be alive for anybody. 2022 is better than 1922, which was better than 1822, and which was better than 1722. So maybe it's not necessarily better for me than it was 10, 15 years ago, or for many of us on that kind of time scale. But in general, things are always getting better for everybody. Pretty people that are in some pretty rough spots, tend to have still cleaner food than kings did, 300, 400, 500 years ago. Better access to medical care, even if that's just the difference between a sterile Band-Aid, antibiotics and stuff. It's not nearly an acceptable, commonplace thing for somebody to die of a blood infection because they got a cut on their body somewhere, and couldn't keep it clean. But I'm not saying that that's not the case for the whole planet. I mean, for sure, there's terrible struggles going on everywhere, every day, every moment, and always, and I'm sure always will. I'm sure. I don't think that you can remove entropy and chaos from civilization and from society. That's for sure. There'll never be a utopia, just because I don't think physics would allow it. You'll still have tragedy, you'll still have accidents, you'll still have disease, you'll still have crimes of passion, but crimes of desperation, I think we can mitigate those. I think there are things that we could do to improve that. I don't think it's just punishing people harder. I don't know. I mean, that should never be off the table in the form of like law enforcement and justice and stuff. But man, we just punish people so damn hard for basic shit, or shit that's outside of their control, and that's rough. That's just rough. And that's something that maybe we need to move out of, in our society. Kicking people when they're down, But, oh man, let me see here. Let me get a drink. How long have we been going? We've been going for a little bit here. Where's that coffee? Yeah, this guy. So this is Kid Spaceman. This is just like a grade school kid. The idea was that him and a bunch of other classmates would basically have their elementary school in space, and then learn about, the idea is it's it's a cool little, kind of like educational kind of comic, kids bookish kind of thing. Make it a little accessible, teach some space stuff, teach some some basic elementary school levels, level stories. And now with the James Webb Space Telescope, which those pictures that have been coming out, these first pictures are just amazing. I am so excited and inspired by this new telescope and by the views that we're going to get. Alright, it's just so incredible. I'm absolutely in love with the potential of this. I mean, I was always a huge fan of Hubble. One of the things that people may not realize, pretty much every image that they've seen of a galaxy, of deep outer space, even like computer visualizations and all that stuff, all of that is all birthed from the images that we got from the Hubble, and and then how that informed us, even to the point where we put these little streaks in our stars, like this, and that actually was because of plates, the mirrors of the involved in the telescope went together like this, and so we would have this shape in here as a lens flare, where now we're getting these lens flares like this, which are connected to, I'm probably going to mess this up, but the array of mirrors for the James Webb Space Telescope are hexagons, and so what they're getting is a whole different kind of lens flaring effect and stuff that's really amazing, that I think is going to totally affect some of our natural instinctual visualization for like stars and stuff in another generation. I mean, these are just the things that kind of inform our own understanding and advance a million things. All this new visualization is going to definitely inform all the new science fiction, as far as showing what things look like, the resolution, the detail, the intricacies. Artists are going to be studying these images and stuff, I mean, for decades, just like with the Hubble images, and man, this new telescope just makes the Hubble, look like someone with really bad eyes. I mean, the focus is just incredible. It's just incredible. I wonder how long it'll take to develop a new one. I mean, I know they spent a massive amount of time building the JWST, or JW Space Telescope, ST, yeah. James Webb Space Telescope, JWST. Yeah, so I know they spent a long time developing it, building the lenses and stuff, doing all kinds of tests. I mean, you got to make sure that all of that works quite perfectly, because once it's out there on its own, floating around in space, you got to control it as a computer. Yeah, you better have made sure that all your code's good, all that hardware is put in there properly, because that's it. Sending somebody out there to fix it, I think, is pretty much a no-go. Not sure, but I think they sent it really far out. Yeah, I mean, not that hard to look that stuff up. I have not. I mean, I think I've read an article where they said how far that they were sending the telescope out, but yeah, I'm not gonna cite any of that because I don't know. I don't remember. Yeah, but it's so cool. It's so cool. I'm excited to see where that leads. What kind of creativity that inspires. It's just gonna be awesome. Already the images are amazing. Let's see here we got. funny how I can just really kind of drift while I'm drawing when I'm not sure what I'm doing or where it's going. But as soon as I do, man, it's like, oh, here we go. I know what's up. I know what to do. And it's kind of funny sometimes how my brain will really reach back to stuff. People will point out like, oh, this looks like that. This looks like this. And my brain will subconsciously just pluck pieces and parts of different things that I've seen, have seen, been exposed to, vaguely remember, and then construct something out of all of that becomes pretty fun and pretty interesting. That's one of the things that I really enjoy doing. Making shit up. Kind of part of my job. Yeah. So, this guy, he's got a little bit of his DBZ hair, his Goku hair here. I'm just trying to fill this in nice and quick. Not worried about a perfect fill. Not worried about the technical completeness. This is just a sketch. So really what I'm worried about getting to here is an overall composition and look that I like, that would justify putting more time into the piece. Moving forward from here, from this sketch, means that there's something about it that's working that I want to move forward with. That is not always the case with these kinds of pieces. Usually I'll just get to the sketch and go, and then move on. You don't really need to pour your heart and soul into everything. It's kind of like, here's a little bit of an assessment and stuff. Maybe this is one I'll pour my heart and soul into. Maybe it's not. That all depends on how these initial sketches go. I should probably, see. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is, because these legs kind of spread out like this, that's fine for a more like action-y pose, I guess. But he is he's kind of supposed to be like in uniform, So maybe if we do this right now, and this is just a pose. This isn't. I'm not trying to do an action shot. I'm not trying to do anything that. Yeah, see, that's okay. We'll stick with this. And sometimes that's how quickly I can do an exploration. In a lot of cases, something like this. Let's say if I was actually going to do some character design work for this guy right here, and I wanted to do a bunch of development or something, or do some nice refined finished sketches of him, for use, in some kind of like output reasons. So I would probably draw or have drawn 3 or 4 different poses and positions, especially knowing what character I'm supposed to be drawing. So having that in mind, maybe do a couple of classic Star Trek poses and stuff. Hold on a second here. Hold on. Oh, I thought I heard something at the front door, so I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, I'm gonna take a drink of coffee. I don't know what I was talking about. Yeah, doing a couple of different versions. Doing and then building up and then narrowing down a bunch of different samples and stuff so that I could determine, what are the most optimal options to move forward with. That is not the case here. We're just going with what we got right now. And I think I'm just going to do a little bit of shading on this guy. We're going to move forward here about a half an hour in. I'm really getting here to my time limits on how long I should be doing this. So I'm going to, lift on my little camera here. So we're just going to do a little bit of this real quick. Nice and messy and loose here. I do like that. I'm just gonna. We'll do. What is that? The new. Uniform designs from Discovery. They have this big old stripe, this asymmetrical stripe down the side. Those are pretty cool. All right, but we're gonna get back into this here. The shading here. So we'll just do a bit of this. Nothing too heavy, nothing too special. I think this is I think this is it. That's all we're going to do today. We just got this little guy here. He's okay. Man, he almost looks like he works in an office versus like, it looks like a little pocket protector. I don't know what that stripe, maybe like a tie or I don't know. I'm just getting a vibe off him that maybe he just works behind a cubicle in the space station, because that might actually be a thing in the future. Living in deep space, exploring the universe, working a desk job. All right, so that's it. That is it. That's all we're doing here. We got this little guy. He is ready for his shift. Clicked there. Yeah, so I guess I actually pulled it off. Well, we did about 35 minutes here on this version. We did about 10 minutes on the earlier one, so it took up a lot of it took up the time I meant to spend. Yeah, and then this is basically it for today. So you know how YouTube works and stuff. There's links in the description. You can like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've got a Patreon page. We've got all kinds of links and stuff. We've got a website, mobandbucket.net. We publish webcomics. We do that on Facebook, and we do that on our webpage. We've got an Instagram, It's all there. It's all right. You're looking at the screen. It's all right there. Yeah, and so next time, till the next one, we'll check you later. All right? Peace.